Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and welcome. We are back live again, and we're going to be doing we're going to be doing a quick catch up first of all. Hang on a second, just need to write somebody here. And then we are going to be doing some memory stuff. I found by accident, a photo album that I didn't know I had. And in fact, I was so convinced it wasn't mine that I actually said, "This isn't mine, so it must belong to somebody else." And I opened it up to find out whose pictures were in it and was quite shocked to find out they were my pictures. So then I looked at them and I went, "Oh, there's some interesting ones in there." Hi, Charlotte. I'm pretty sure that there are quite a few viewers who would love to see some of those. So we're going to be doing that, excuse me, in a little while. But in the meantime, Charlotte, congratulations on your completion of your first run of the year. I was delighted to hear that you did that. How was it for you? I know that you always look forward to that first one. Hi, Jody. Good to see you. And Jody, I believe happy anniversary. I hope I got that right. It was to my horror that I realized that round about lunchtime, and I went, "Oh gosh, well, better late than never." You did a 10K. Oh, you did a 5K last weekend and about to do a 10K run next weekend. That is incredible. Well, Charlotte, you inspire us all by the fact that you do these things. It's wonderful. It really is. And Jody, it is delightful to know that. How many years did you say? 18? I just want to check if my memory is right on this one. I cannot believe that I didn't have that in my system. So strange. And you know what is worse? I missed Manon's birthday because I didn't have her birthday in the system. Oh, that's such a pretty picture of boxes there, isn't it? Wherever I angle my camera, you're going to get boxes. That stack is getting higher. Do you see that? Quite a bit higher. Now, let me see if I can make a bit of a plan here. Okay. If I come in really tight, then you get to see all my chins, but maybe not as many boxes. Okay, Jody, please make a note of that for me. Right, Charlotte, my apologies. After all these years, you'd think I'd get yours in there. Please don't take it personally. It just means that for some reason I never, put it into the system, and it's not because I don't love you. Wow. I certainly don't feel it, but thank you, Jody. So yeah, and she'll be on it until she can see it in the system. If it makes you feel any better, I didn't have Manon's in either, and it's just like, how could I not have Manon in there? I mean, it's just like, boy, she was one of the first, or amongst that first intake, as were you, Charlotte. So I'm really grateful for the fact you're still around. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm really very, very proud of you for continuing to do your runs. That is wonderful to know that you're doing that. All right. So now then, I just wanted to give some thoughts and prayers to Erin. From what I gather, she has had some test results back that she's not altogether happy with. And what has happened is her liver function figures are up when they're not meant to be. And so this is what she said to me. She wrote to me, and she always says that if she writes to me, unless she says otherwise, it's okay to share it. So here we go. She said, I just looked at my liver blood test results from yesterday. Unfortunately, both numbers have gone up about 15 points. So I'm back on the prednisone. Sorry, I just can't scroll this properly. prednisone again, or something like it, I think. There may also be another liver biopsy in my future, but we will see. It's a very frustrating and very emotional day. So as I can imagine. She said that when she saw the results, she couldn't help but cry. How many of you relate to that? That's not news that she wanted to hear. Yes, for anybody who's been on prednisone, it's not a fun thing to have to go back onto. For those of you who've never had it, Jody, could you tell everybody your experience? Because I believe that different people, I know a friend of mine was on it and she hated it, but it did the job. So that is the problem. I believe that it can cause all sorts of issues. So it's sort of like, well, do you want to take it and have these possible side effects and have it work? Or do you not want to take it and not be able to control what's going on? So it must be a real catch-22 for anybody who has to take prednisone or not. So let's keep her in our thoughts and prayers is really what I'm trying to say here, because that's a difficult one for her for sure. Okay, so next up, Lauren. Is she with us right now? Probably not, because she. Hang on a second. I probably can check that out if I try really hard. My problem is I have to switch screens to do it. Let me just check here. No, hi, Triona. Good to see you. I hate it that they don't automatically tell me who's in the room. I have to go and look it up. It drives me insane, but never mind. Okay, so Jody's experience with prednisone is it makes you want to eat everything in sight. Oh, I must be on it. It causes many terrible side effects, but also can be a miracle drug. Yes, that's what I've heard. You can't imagine the appetite it creates, at least for some people. And that's been funny you should say that, Jody, because that's been my issue this week. For some reason, I've been eating up a storm. Yes, Charlotte's saying it also creates bloating in some people. Yes, I've heard that as well. So, Jody, I'm just trying to think about an update on Lauren. As far as I know, everything's going in the right direction, right? All the stuff's healing up nicely, and she's getting closer to going home all the time. And then after that, Jody, would you like to give a quick update to what you're doing? And I'll go on in the meantime to Kerry, who's doing a great job. She's managed to get out of control and then get herself back in control again. So I'm very proud of Kerry. And not only that, but she still continues to help a lot of people along the way. So that takes a lot of balls in the air, if you know what I mean. So, and Becca, we're here, has left her job so she can concentrate on her healing, which I think is a great idea for her because she will learn a lot through doing that. And there's grieving a family member is always very, very difficult. If any of you have ever done it, you will know what I'm talking about. And for those of you who've never done it, be grateful, because when the time comes, it's a very difficult. I think the grieving somebody in your direct family is pretty difficult for a lot of people. All right. And as we wait for Jody to update us, I'm going to carry on. Obviously, happy anniversary, as I've said, to Jody and Lionel today. We've also got a couple of birthdays coming up. Let me see who we've got. We've got Anna Marie on the 9th. Are we nearly into next month already? Yes, I guess we are. For those of you who know Chloe, the songbird, she's on the 11th. And do any of you remember Ryan? I would think Charlotte would, and probably only Charlotte in this room. Ryan used to be almost a ghost, but he watched us for the longest time. And I believe we helped him quite a bit. So that was great to hear. Yeah. In the days of Jenny Jen Jen and such, for those of you who remember that. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. All right. So those are the birthdays. And okay. So Jodie's report back here is, yes, Lauren is doing fantastically. And I mean that as far as physical healing, I know she's handling everything. I know she's doing a great job, really. It must be so frustrating. And as for Jodie, she says, I'm taking things day by day and waiting for my brain MRA on the 12th. MRI on the 12th. Wow. And apparently the MRI is to rule out or confirm MS. That's all you need to add to your bunch of tricks. Hey, Jodie? Like you haven't got enough things going on. So what are the symptoms that made them think it might be MS, Jodie? Just so that other people know what to watch out for. Excuse me, big gulps. It's a bit like when I listen to people talk about, sleep issues now. I know what I'm looking for to tell them go see your doctor and get a sleep apnea test. And by the way, while we're waiting for Jodie to reply on that, the news on the sleep apnea test is very good. I'm down to, I think it's less than one incident an hour. I got a gold star one day where I had no incidents at all during the time. I've never had that before. So I had a night without any incidents. Can you believe that after having 16 an hour? Now, I wanted to apologize to everybody for the fact that I needed to cancel Friday evening. I think I had a combination of too tired, too much stress, and allergies, and they all hit me sort of at the same time, like, and I managed to do the lunchtime one and fake it fairly well. Unless you knew me fairly well, in which case you probably knew I was struggling. But I want to tell you, there was no way I could do a second one. I just didn't have it in me. So I thank you all. All right, here's the update from Jodie. She says she's having balance issues, small seizures, and cognitive impairment. And for example, a serious brain fog. Gosh, you poor thing. So they think this could be MS. Now, I suffer from cognitive impairment on a regular basis, Jodie. So, I know how frustrating that one is. And I'm certain I should not be laughing about that in terms of what you're going through, but you understand. I've noticed as I get older, the amount of cognitive impairment issues I have managed to increase at some alarming rate. Now, I was hoping to give you lots of feedback on what Marnie and I did yesterday because Marnie was coming back to visit me. But unfortunately, she needed to cancel. She had the same sort of symptoms as I did. So that was pretty good. But I really was proud of myself. I realized that had she been here, we would have taken some major steps forward. And so what I did is I forced myself, even though I didn't feel very good, I forced myself to get off my butt, and okay, Triona, no problem. Good night, honey. And oh, by the way, Triona, did the abortion vote go your way? The reason I say that, can some of you remember that I think it was Ireland that was talking to us on Friday about the abortion referendum vote thing that was going through? And I was amazed to see the result of that. I actually kept track of it after I heard that was happening. And I was stunned. I really was. So I just wondered how that went for Triona. I know it's a very contentious issue and that some people maybe she's gone already. But that was a really incredible result. You know, Ireland had some of the most punitive abortion laws, repercussions in anywhere. And, you know, if you were caught having an abortion, oh, did I miss it? Wow, that is awesome. So I'm delighted that it went the way that she wanted it to. Um, I think it goes without saying now that regardless of, I mean, I know it's very contentious issue for a lot of you, but I was stunned that it had even taken that much hold in Ireland. I don't know about the rest of you. So for those of you who, I think it was, you know, like 56% or something that voted to stop what they were up to. Anyway, it was, you know, it wasn't just a squeak through, it was considered quite substantial. So that's going to make a big change in Ireland, that's for sure. And I am certain that in the same moment that that makes a big change in Ireland, how many of you understand, and I hate to say it this way, but it also loosens the religious hold that is held on people. So, you know, it's like, it's a very interesting balancing act. Whether you believe in it or not is you know, everybody's individual choice. But I hate these dogmas that are really there to control people. And to me, this is like, you know, the Catholic Church has done a wonderful job of making sure that people have severe consequences for going against that thing. And also, you know, understand the reason that came in was they wanted as many followers as possible. And the way you get it is to stop any sort of birth control. Does that make sense to people? However, yeah, yeah, Jody. The other side of it, though, is that I am certain there are others that realize that if you end up with certain of the Catholic countries now agreeing to stop the ban on abortion, then, you know, the obviously the Muslims have not done that, so you understand what happens then and what continues to happen, as I've been warning people for years. If you do the math, they produce far more babies than the average Christian does. Therefore, it is a long-term issue here, and not so long-term either. All right. If you are ghosting, welcome. This is DearMamaSal, and we are about to do a little bit of down memory lane for me. I was doing some downsizing, and I found some interesting things. But in the meantime, what I wanted to do is to just welcome you to the channel if you're ghosting and say hi. If there's ever a topic that you would like us to discuss, please feel free to let me know it either here or write to me at dearmamasal@gmail.com. And, you know, Jody has kindly put up the notice there to say as well that if you want to be on our mailing list for any special discounts and things, you know, just write to that same address, dearmamasal@gmail.com, and type yes to the list in the subject line, and then I will add you in. And so I'm always a great believer in welcome to the ghosters. And if you can see a bell on your screen at the moment, probably up near my pretty little face in the top corner there, just click that, and that'll make sure that whenever I go live that you're going to know about it. And the other thing is, I highly recommend that you follow us on Twitter and YouTube. No, you can do that too. But I was going to say Twitter and Facebook. And that's where I tell people what's coming up. And you normally get a lot more notice on that one. So just in case you weren't watching on Friday, these are the two pictures I did this week. This was the one. I'm still not sure which way that needs to go. It's either that way or... Yeah. And hi, Erin. We were just talking about you, honey. So I think it's probably this way, but it's a personal thing. So it is amazing because we were talking on Friday about how I had started doing these different pictures. I wonder if I've still got it here. I don't think I have. On little bits of paper. And, now doing them on big bits of paper is quite scary. Hang on a second. Let me see if I threw it in here again, because that's where it was. Yep, it is. I put it back where it was. So you need to understand, when I started doing this painting, I started on little bits of paper like that. Can you believe that? And so, that's the back of it. Sorry. I thought that looked a little strange. Anyway, so this was one that I did back in August a year ago. And then now I'm up to intentionally creating one this big. But even so, as I was saying on Friday, understand this one went wrong. And that's what most people don't understand. It can look beautiful when you first throw it. And I say throw it because this is about pouring paint onto a canvas and manipulating it. And then you have to pray to the drying gods that, that the paint mixtures were right and that they interacted properly together. And what happened was it wasn't quite right, and it dried badly, which required that I do another layer on it. But luckily, the extra layer worked really well. So I'm very, very happy with that. And the other thing I did this week, because I love to do them every now and then, is I did a couple more trivets. Now, does everybody know what a trivet is? So here's one. So this is like if you look at the cells on that one, and can you see the high gloss on it? I've put engine gloss on it so that it's high heat protected. You can probably see the gloss on that one as well. So these are fun for me to do every now and then. I have red, black, and gold ones in my kitchen. Basically, they're just things onto which you can put hot things. So those are the other two. All right, so we're going to do a time check now. And so we can start the memory lane stuff. And I have 24 minutes, call it 23 and a half, right? Here we go. So this is a bit down memory lane. And it really was the funniest thing, because I opened up a box yesterday and I saw this photo album. And I thought, that's obviously not mine. So I wonder to whom this box belongs. And it was really strange, because when I opened it up, I went, those are pictures of me. So I thought I'd show you a couple. I'm going to see if I can get them out of their coverings. So here's one. And I would think that I was probably... Oh, do you see the candelabra in the background? That's interesting. That candelabra is somewhere in a box downstairs, and that's got to be nearly 100 years old. And it's one of a set of two. Anyway, and the one that I put on the picture, on the thing, was this one. And I thought that was an interesting picture. I can't remember even seeing that one. Don't you love that blouse? I loved that blouse for so long. Little did I know they were Canadian colors at the time. It was black, red, and white. I just thought that was so pretty as a blouse. And once it was all done up, this is what the blouse looked like. You can tell it was in the days when we had padded shoulders. But what do you think? Yes, I've always loved, something that's interesting, you should say that. Guess what I'm wearing today? Red, white, and black shorts. I've always loved that combo. I don't know why it has always suited me, but it has. Okay, so you all know that I'm a big dog person, right? And then I got to show you, there have been a couple of times in my life when I owned a little dog. This one is, this is a little dog that my father's girlfriend came to my house one day and said, Muppet was her name. We're about to put her down because, your father doesn't want a dog in the house. So we just wondered if you'd like her instead. Well, I couldn't handle that very well. Okay, so I'm just seeing what I've got here. Pictures of the Cloverdale. Oh, this one will really... Yeah, well, you know me. So I got a little dog. What can I say? Now this one, are you ready for this one, people? I don't even know where it was. I think I must have been at the rodeo. But how do you like this one? You can tell I was a lot thinner in those days. So this is why I thought, I should really show you guys because you guys will love some of these. Yeah, I know. And I'm going to show you one of my husband, even though actually I've got this one, or there was another one that was even nicer. I'll find the other one. But this was my second husband. So, but I've got a better one of him. And he is no more, just so that you know that. And right, have any of you ever heard of Lake Labarge? The reason I'm asking is because I think I told you guys the story once that I actually went, but I was up in the Northern Territories, and I was in Whitehorse to open up a convention, and then I had a break, but then they wanted me to close it in the evening as well. When you've got a keynote speaker, they're inclined to use you. And this is what I did in between those two speeches. I went on a picnic in the middle of a frozen lake. Isn't that an amazing sight? Now, the reason that this became interesting, and some of you will have heard this story, so bear with me here, was that I wanted to stand on the back of the dog team, and get a picture. How many of you can know that it would be what I want? So the funny thing was the guy that was that took us there with his team, he went He went off to go and find a bush somewhere on a frozen lake. Yeah, right. Anyway, and left his dog team. And of course, owing to the fact I knew they were anchored, I wasn't very worried. So I quietly went up and I went and stood at the back of the dog team. And the next thing I knew, the dog team took off. And everybody is screaming at me, stand on the brake, stand on the brake. And I'm going, take the picture, take the picture. Because I was not going to stand on any brake, even if I knew where it was, until they had the picture. So this was all that time. And by the way, boy, what an exhilarating experience. Now, I want to tell you, this is the dog team. I want to tell you that two very disappointing things about being on a dog team. Number one is they don't say mush. Did you know that? All those movies where they go mush, mush, told us a lie. They actually don't say that. What they actually say is he and her. I think that's right. Or he and her. I think her. Anyway, so it was very disappointing to me. The other thing is it's not nearly as much fun as you think sitting down into that sled thing. You know that sled thing that they drive you on? It's not nearly as exciting. I mean, if you think about it, all you're doing is sitting there with the back end of a dog, very close to you. And so, when you're going fairly fast, that's a bit worrying. Well, it was for me anyway. So what I did was, and you're not surprised, I'm sure, was I convinced the dog guy, whatever he was, the sledder, to let me stand on one of the back rails. He was on one, and I decided to stand on the other one. Much more fun, I want to tell you. Much better exercise too. So I thought I would let you know that. And this must have been, it's funny the things, I was looking at this picture and going, why did I have this picture? And it actually was in South Africa, and it was where my mum lived. Her second to last home. In other words, this was part of an old age complex. And she lived in this 2-bedroom house. And they moved her, to a full care facility when she needed it. But that's why I had that picture. I was quite surprised. And I don't know. Have any of you ever seen any pictures of my daddy? So this probably tells you everything you want to know about my father. I only got to meet him in my living memory when I was in my 30s. He left home when I was 4, I think, and I only got to meet him again. And I really had no memory of him until later. But, okay, so this is what I thought was quite a nice picture of my ex. The late ex, very late now. So this is my husband. And then it's funny, the pictures. I'm going, wow. Now, I have no idea where I was here. But I know that I am a lot heavier than that now. But I'm looking, I'm going, boy, I bet you I didn't even have to breathe in on that one. That was quite surprising. You know that feeling? This is my mummy's place again. Let me see what else I can find that you... Oh. You probably want to see me... Yeah, I love the hat too. Hang on a second. Okay. This is at my wedding reception. Please notice I had hair. I think that's why I've gone back to having longer hair. I've only just realized it now. But I got married in the Chuck and Dye suite in the Pan Pacific Hotel here in Canada. I'm running out of photos now. Hang on a second. Let me see what else I can find that I can share. All right, this one's specially for Jody because I know she always has this thing about my megawatt smile. So Jody, this one, not only the megawatt smile, but also look at the nails. And you know they were mine. And look at the size of the glasses, people. Now, I've got a wonderful story to tell you about that suit. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but it was really funny. It was actually tangerine orange silk. How many of you are already going dangerous? And I was, funny enough, doing a speech at the Pan Pacific Hotel. And it was early in the morning. I remember that. And I made some comment about, at that time of the morning I was sleep talking. So if I woke up in the middle of the speech, please let me know. And the funny thing was that somebody said something about the suit. And I said, yes, it is beautiful, isn't it? And they said, thank you, Aaron. Anyway, so what had happened was just before I got up to speak, I dropped a whole glass of orange juice on this suit. How many of you are already sucking breath at the thought of that? So here I was in this beautiful tangerine silk suit. And I dropped orange juice all the way down it. And the only thing I could do was to water down the orange juice immediately, with a glass of water. I mean, that's the only thing I could think to do. But how many of you can imagine I got up to be the keynote speaker in a sopping wet skirt? Luckily at the front. But it did look like I'd had a bit of an accident. But you know me, go with the flow. So I was explaining, I think that's what I was doing in this picture. I was explaining to the audience why I had this incredible dark stain down the front of my dress, my suit. And I said, but the main thing is now that maybe we can concentrate on the speech now. But I know that I just know enough about human nature to every now and then eyes are gonna wander back to that suit and will it stain? And I said, how many people in the audience are worried about will it stain? Yes, on with the show. The show must go on. And the funny thing was, this one woman just went like this, and I said, "What's the problem?" And she said, "Don't you know that orange juice will stain silk for life?" And I said, "I wish you hadn't told me that." I was feeling so much better a little bit earlier on. Okay, now this one. Can you believe Sal the golfer? Hang on a second. Where am I? Oh, I guess I was taking that picture. Hang on. I want to see if there's one with me as Sal the golfer. That's not me. Oh, that's unfortunate. Hang on. No, that's it. Okay, but I want to show you the picture anyway. So this was taken in Palm Springs, and did it ever come out? Yeah, actually, I found out that I took it home and put it in my washing machine and really gave it a good clean. I didn't put it in the dryer, just put it in the washing machine and then steamed the creases out of it, and it worked. It was great. So what I wanted to tell you about this trip to Palm Springs, did any of you hear the story about when I went on a beginners golfers weekend golfing trip to Palm Springs? And the problem was that we played all the professional courses, of which there are many in Palm Springs. I think 3 or 4. And they're all professional golf courses, right? And so the funniest thing was that it was billed and sold as a beginner's trip. And I was a beginner. I mean, you could say a hacker. And so I went on the trip. And the interesting thing was that they allowed me to go. I told the truth about how much of a hacker I was, and they didn't care. They took my money, and that was fine. But when I was on this trip, there was this one guy, I don't have no idea what his name was, who was on the trip with us, and he was really quite upset that I was a hacker. And I said, I'm sorry to hear that. What's your problem? They shouldn't have allowed you on the tour. I said, well, actually, it is a beginner's tour. By the way, look at that for daunting. You imagine looking at that if you're a beginner. Anyway, so I said, well, actually, yeah, I was allowed to come. They chose to let me come. And then I looked at him. How many of you wouldn't know what to say in a situation like that? So here's the thing. I looked at him and I said, I know it's really frustrating for you, but I need you to remember one thing. And he said, what's that? And I said, I paid the same money as you did. And that gives me the right to have the same amount of fun as you do. And that also gives me a right to play at my speed, not yours. And so here's the deal. I won't mention what a rude idiot you are if you agree not to mention this again. And he and I turned out to be quite good friends at the end of it all. It was quite surprising. Now, you've heard me talk about my previous dog, Bud. And this is a picture of him a long time ago, and I was quite surprised to find it. I probably will find more. But this was Buddy. And he was a cross-German Shepherd Collie. And he was big. He doesn't look big there, but how many of you can imagine you did not want to be on the wrong side of him? Now, it didn't matter how well trained he was, he still didn't like people very much, and he was very fussy about the people that he liked. And so he and I didn't socialize a great. Yeah, he was absolutely stunning. I will find more pictures of him and show you guys. Oh, you remember I told you that one picture I painted with a spatula because I had a set of furniture, and I wanted a picture to go with it. This is where, can you see that picture? Some of you have seen me show that picture before. So that is the picture, and that is the dining room set I had that I needed it for. So that's why I got out the spatula from the kitchen and painted a quick picture. I still can't believe I did it. And here we are, 30 years later, I still got the picture. Pretty amazing, really. So anybody who tells you that acrylic doesn't last, and I think some of you know that I painted it on cardboard. I literally had a piece of cardboard and I cut it. And went slop, 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 with paint. And then in those days, I had a personal shopper. Can you believe that? I was hardly ever at home because I was on tour. And I had this personal shopper. And after I had painted it and it dried, I said to her, please do me a favor, get this framed for me and get it framed in a way that it looks like, somebody intelligent painted it. 30 years later, it still is in pride of place in my home. Yeah. And I actually, in those days, used to sign any of my artwork Sally, Sali. Um, I don't know why, but that's what I did. I think it was easier to write. And that's how it's signed, if you see it. And yet you look at it now and I'm going, I still love that one. All right, that one definitely deserves a frame. I'm going to get that properly framed. So I'm pretty sure that none of you are too surprised at the pictures. So anything surprise you about the pictures, just so that I know if you're going, wow, I didn't know that, whatever. Any questions? And Jody, I had to laugh because as soon as I saw a couple of those with the smile, I'm going, oh, I'm going to have to show Jody those. She will never forgive me if I don't. Mm. You know, I still believe, very sincerely, I still believe I am very blessed to have yeah, they seem very me, right? It is amazing, isn't it? I don't think I've changed that much. I mean, I've got fatter. Yeah, no doubt about that. But I definitely don't think I've changed a great deal, other than I put the pounds on. Yeah, let me tell you why else I loved it, Jody. You must remember I was a performer. And the thing about black, red, and white is they all interchange really well. I could wear a white blouse with a black suit, or a red blouse with a black suit, you know, with a white tie on it, or a white scarf on it. And, you know, they all interchanged really well. So if I was on a 5-day tour, taking black, red, and white combo with me was really useful. Um, the and occasionally I would add yellow. Some of you have seen me wear yellow. I don't wear it a lot, but occasionally I used to wear, in the winter, I'd wear yellow because I always thought it was a nice sunshiny color and it looks great against black. So, you know, a lot of my wardrobe in those days, if you opened up my wardrobe, those are the colors. And actually, if I take you to my wardrobe now, they probably still are. What do I add? I add a good turquoise. I like a good turquoise because turquoise, black and white, always looks good. Orange, you know, this is red, but I also like a deep orange because I love those colors. What other colors do I add? But how many of you have noticed I very rarely wear prints? You don't see me with flowers very often. Gray, yes. Gray, I do. Yes, you're right. I do wear quite a bit of gray. In the winter, especially. Mainly because I've got gray suede boots that fit me. So the other thing, I don't know if this makes sense to any of you, but when I was on tour, probably the next most important thing, other than outfits that mixed and match, was comfortable shoes. And have any of you heard of Nine West? I think that's what it's called. I used to have a series of Nine West shoes, exactly the same style, but I had them in 3-inch heels and 2-inch heels, I think, or at least 3-inch heels and 2-inch heels. But I had them in, okay, so Jody knows them, right. So I had them in patent leather black, you know, that shiny black. I had them in regular black. I had them in white for the summer, and I had them in, can't remember, red probably. Anyway, but what I could do again, is, I could mix and match the shoes easily as well. So, and everybody said to me, don't you get bored of wearing that style? I said, no, because they're comfortable and I will still be able to wear them, 30 years from now. Which is the question you're going to ask me. Am I still wearing them? No. Because when I put on weight, I also put on weight on my feet. Now, the funniest thing was I was down with Yvonne about Christmas time, I think. And she just happened to be all dressed up, which Yvonne doesn't get all dressed up very often, but she was on this day. And I saw her shoes and I went, wow, Vonnie, I love those shoes. And she laughed at me and she said, she did the whole thing and turned around and said, really? And then she said, would you like to see the back of them? And I said, sure. But why? But never mind. In my mind, I'm going, I wonder why. And she turned around and showed me the back and I burst out laughing. The reason I loved them is they were mine. I'd given them to her. How many countries have I visited? Actually speaking, as opposed to just visited. 7. I would say about 8 to 10, somewhere in there. Don't want to put too fine a point on it. And the funny thing was, when I get the memory box down, and I am going to do that for you pretty soon, I'm getting close. When I get that memory box down, you're going to find out that I very rarely smiled in my promo shots. I don't think I knew how to smile yet. Do you know what I mean? I was still in the mask thing. I didn't want to show my teeth and didn't want to, whatever. And it's really funny when I look at my mug shots now that I used to take for those days that I very rarely smiled a big smile. And I can always remember my photographer. I used to use the same photographer all the time. He'd say, Sal, for goodness sake, please smile. And I go, I'm smiling. He goes, no, you're not. And I know what he means now. 30 years later, I understand. The megawatt smile was there, Jody, but I very rarely showed it. And it must have been very frustrating. So here's the good news. I do need a 2x4 or 2. So let me just see who's in the room so I can just personalize this a bit. Jody. Audience of, wow. Okay. So Jody, why is it a crime? Yeah, amazing. So here's what I need. I'm going to, I know I didn't smile. Can you believe it? It's really weird, isn't it? I'm just disconnecting the power for a second so I can show you what I'm up to this week. I have had this goal to get my dining room cleaned up for the longest time, and I'm about halfway there. You understand, my dining room was my packing room, Jody, just so that you know. Let me just disconnect that. Okay, so what I want you to do, this time I'll keep the headphones on, is to show you what mess there is now. Okay, let me come this end. So as you can probably see, I've got all sorts of stuff up the side of the room, dining room. I've still got a few things left to pack there on the table. But my goal this week is to get rid of this stuff down here. Can you see that? Oh, maybe not. So I got all sorts of stuff. And basically, that is all stuff that I have there because when you quickly want to clean something or you want to pack something, it's there. And so now my goal is to get rid of all of that's left on the table and that stuff. That's my goal for this week. And when I've done that, then basically, other than moving the boxes downstairs, which I can't do on my own, then the dining room and living room are basically done. The kitchen is an absolute nightmare, but it's basically done, which means the next room I will clean up is the craft room, and that's half done. I would think, that should be pretty easy to finish off. And then the last one, of course, is the studio. And the studio, quite honestly, again, if I get concentrating on it, I could probably finish that in a fairly short space of time. That would leave my lobby, which is basically filled with packing materials at the moment that need to go into the garage, and I can do that. And then my laundry room and my storage area and my garage. And so I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm actually about, I would think, well over halfway now. But oh, what a terrible thing to do. Very difficult. And the other thing is this, I am aware that from this point onwards, I have to pack in a different sort of way. I need to pack from this point onwards in a way that says, if I buy a condo, this box goes. This will become garbage. If I buy this sort of, property, then this can stay. Do you know what I mean? So this is going to be tools, equipment, all those sort of things, which in the event that I buy a condo, and I think that's why I don't want to buy a condo, is that unless I get a townhouse type condo, which I don't think I have the money for what they cost today, most of it's going to have to go. So you can see why intellectually my brain turned off. I didn't want to pack anymore because I am well aware that the sooner I get this under control, the sooner I have to leave my home. But I have found, Jody, that it works much better for me to say, okay, my goal is you have 2 hours to get as much as you can off the dining room table. And I did 4 boxes yesterday, which, I haven't done 4 boxes in a long time. And that was literally putting stuff in the dishwasher to clean it quickly, because it was stuff that should have been cleaned a long time ago, and then just wrapping it up and putting it away. So pretty difficult stuff to do. I definitely don't recommend it. How did I do it before? Every 5 years or something, So now the other thing is, yeah, thanks, Jody. It's very stressful to do. It's very stressful to do because I think to find what I've got again, in some way, something that suits me as well as this. The little Sunshine Cottage probably was the answer. And I still think I might live to regret the fact I didn't put in a bid there, but I know there's no way. If I meant to have that, it's going to come back on the market. You know what I mean? But by the time I'm ready, it'll still be on the market. But can you believe that it jumped 50,000 in 1 week? Up. And it's like, yeah. I don't think I would have paid that much for it. That's the thing. You got to think about. Right. I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I can only presume that the office they got must have been really good, that they thought that they could jump at 50,000 and get away with it. So we'll see what I'll let you know, because I will keep tabs on it, but I'll let you know what it eventually sells for, just so that you can know. Yeah, I was right to let it pass. I knew it would be popular because it was so pretty, but it'll be interesting to see what it actually. Yeah, I think they must have been very high offers, or the initial offers probably were on the money, but when they went back for where what would happen is the realtor would say, we've got a higher offer. Do you want to put in a second bid? People must have jumped pretty high on it, is what I'm thinking. That they must have jumped 20,000 or 30,000 to try and get it. And when they realized people were willing to pay that much money, they took it and priced it. I'm very curious about it as well. But it was funny because I spoke to a number of people since then, and everybody's sort of saying it. They all say the same thing. It's very scary to spend that sort of money when you don't own the land. You know what I mean? It really is very scary to do that. So I think, no, I can't blame them either. When they realized that our reaction, and I wasn't the only one, that was reacting very positively. I think there are about 2 other people that were very, very keen on it, and they probably put in the offers. But, I think you've got to look at it and go, I'm a great believer that things happen for a reason. And so now I've got to try and find something that actually I own. Well, I guess if I buy a condo, I don't own the land either, if you think about that. But I want to tell you, a condo will be even more expensive here. I will be lucky to get a 1-bedroom for that price. That's what's so scary. Yes, I will. Actually, hi, Zoo. Welcome. Yes, am I going to stay in Canada? I probably am planning to do that, yeah. I actually have given some thought whether I should take my Canadian dollars and go invest it in a third world country somewhere where I could probably live like a princess for the rest of my life in very good weather. Is that what you're wondering, Zoo? It definitely has been something that I have considered. I don't mind telling you that. Um, but here is the reason. Well, I'm as close as I'm ever going to be to Benji and Judy. Thank you for mentioning that. But I'm as close as I can be to them without living in the States, and I can't live in the States. I don't have the right to live in the States. I'm not an American, remember, I'm a Canadian. Yeah, but again, I couldn't. I I can't go to Costa Rica either, I believe. So I would have to go somewhere where they accept, foreign money and foreigners. Like it's there are a lot of countries that are not quite like the States, that where you can actually go and live there. But then I have to also weigh up against that things like healthcare. And, at my age, healthcare is a pretty important part of my checklist. You know, am I close to a major hospital? So I have to think about that. And also now that I'm retired, you know, the cost, for example, if I go down to visit Benji and Judy today, I have to buy special healthcare insurance just to go down there. Whereas when I was working, I had coverage. Yes, but you only get to live there for 6 months of the year. You do know that, right? So they go down there they go down, and they go a lot farther south than Benji and Judy, I can assure you. They go down to where the hot weather is in the winter. And then they come back for the summer, which makes a lot of sense. Now, the trick is to have two different dwellings, right? One somewhere in Arizona or something for the winters, and then fly back and live in another one in Canada for the summers. I'm really very seriously thinking about having a look at the bigger fifth wheels to see, you know, two things. Number one, what have they got today they didn't have, you know, 20 years ago? But the other thing is, do I think I could live in it without going stir crazy in the Canadian winter? That is the issue for me. And how would I paint? That's, you see, I don't know about you, but some of those are beautiful inside, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want to be throwing paint around in there. But maybe I would concentrate my painting into just making pendants and things in the winter where we small amounts of paint, and then do the big stuff in the summer when I can do it outside. You know, I've given this some thought, right? Or, you know, the other thing is go back to painting on pictures this size and forget about the forget about this size and bigger. But you know, I like doing this now, however difficult it was. It is hard to believe that I did this, isn't it? Oh, wrong side again, right? Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, so yeah, do the big ones in the summer, right? And then, you know, the drying gods will be angry at me because they will dry too quickly and crack. And then mind you, I could probably, being me, I could probably rig up a slow drying system underneath the trailer. It was a journey, wasn't it? But you know something, Jody? I didn't think I would end up being able to paint this one. That's for sure. You know, it's funny, isn't it? It's like I can look at it now and go, that looks easy to do, but you know how long it took you to get there. The scary thing was to start painting on bigger bits of, actually painting on canvas was my scariest. I was happy as can be with the small bits of paper, and then, you know, the 5.5 by 7 or whatever. And then I was actually also fine 8.5 by 10. I could sit and paint on 8.5 by 10 cardstock. Hang on a second, just hold on. Yeah, I do know about. I'll get onto that in a second. I still think, for example, this sort of stuff, I could happily do. This was just a 5.5 by 7, and this one as well. And they both are in my kitchen at the moment. Well, they're not. They're standing right here. But I could do this size without too much problem. I could contain the mess if I did this size. And even yeah, that's why, that is why I want to go and have a look and see what's available. I don't want a bus. I would get a fifth wheel, which means the Jeep would need to go because I'd need to buy a truck. But the other thing is, where do I end up having my residence, right? Because you need to have a residential address. And so I've got to think about that as well. Where's my mail going to go if I have a fifth wheel? Where is my place of abode? And so the other thing I want to have a look at now is, can I, what is the price of actually staying in a trailer park and not becoming trailer trash, but in a trailer park 12 months of the year? I don't know about the American boondockers. Tell me about that. What I'm surprised about is I've been checking on a couple of people who are living in their trailers full time. And they're telling, from what I can tell, listening to them, is they reckon it's costing them about 3,000 American a month to do that. By the time you've added up all the different costs involved, where you're going to send your mail, what you're going to do about insurance, what are you going to do about this, that, and the other. They said when they add it all up, it cost them about 3,000 a month. It's really quite scary, isn't it? What do you? That's the thing that I want to just sort of see. What is the cost of living for anybody these days? Maybe 3,000 a month is what it costs to live these days. What do you think? Yeah, and you remember I was doing the math. Did I bring my? Oh, I didn't bring my phone with me. But you remember I was doing the math and saying, what was it, 2,600 a month for the next 20 years? I would need 620,000 or something. That's scary. Now, when I did that math, I forgot to put in how much my government pension is, because there is some money coming from that. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, Jody, that, just not many people do the math. Now, the other thing I didn't do. Yeah, 624,000. Thanks for your memory. Yeah, and you're the one that thinks you got a cognitive problem. So you think about it. I didn't cost in my Canadian pension, but here is the other thing. The other thing, yeah, but you know something, Zoo, you presume that everybody makes a lot of money out of YouTube. I've been doing YouTube for 5 years and I really make nothing. So, it's not automatic that you will make a lot of money doing that. And that's not why I do YouTube anyway. But, that's what I'm saying. And so what sort of jobs are they doing? Right. But, my problem, Zoo, is at 70, do I want to be doing transient jobs? Especially, for example, in the States where I'm not allowed to be employed. All right. So you have to look at it that it makes a lot of sense for young people. If I were in my 20s, that would be a lot easier decision to make. But, that's what I have to look at. Okay. Then help me understand. I appreciate your interest, by the way. So while we're waiting for that answer, um, I just wanted to say that I hope that you enjoyed some of the pictures. I know that I've got more down there, so I will try and dig some out. Okay, that's great. Thank you, and I will look that up. And but the interesting thing is, I didn't even realize. That's very kind of you. I didn't even realize that I had these pictures, and that's how long they've been hidden. I obviously haven't opened that box in over 20 years, because if I had, I would have known I had pictures of myself to show you. Um, Well, it's a pleasure, Jody. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And which one did you like best? It's funny, isn't it? How you suddenly find these pictures and you go, "Wow, that was 30 years ago." Even more, maybe. No, it couldn't have been. How long have I been in the country? The one with the hat, yeah. Isn't that funny that you like that so much? Just it was a bit sassy, right? Yeah, what frustrates me about it was the fact I'm sure I didn't even breathe in. Here you go. And that really blows my mind. Lord, to be able to have your picture taken and not worry about breathing in. It is really strange. Oops. All right, so I'm going to go and hit the barbecue and put the bread in so that we've got fresh buns. And I will. Cheap RV living. Yeah, actually, I haven't totally said no to it. It's still on my list of possibles. Hang on a second. Let me just get my pen, which I had here. Yeah. But is he American? And by the way, men live more cheaply than women. Do you know that? It's a strange thing, but it's true. I definitely will check it out. And I thank you for showing me. I've got to go. I have food to cook. So, big hugs to you. Well, that's excellent. I will start watching some of his stuff. Thank you so much, Zoo. I appreciate it. Are you male or female, Zoo? Yeah, give Lionel a big hug for me as well, and happy anniversary to you both, Jody. I'm delighted that I got to get that in today. It's amazing. I didn't have that on my list. I just literally I found it and I went, when? Today? Yep, right. That woke me up a little bit, I can tell you. All right, so, well, it's my pleasure. And you understand, just the usual one wasn't good enough, so I had to make a new one for you. Like I had time. I mean, there are times when I laugh at myself and I go, "Oh, Jody, I need a 2x4 this week, please. Please, please. I need you to ask me at least once a day, every day. I need to get into the craft room and send off Beth's present and the mugs that I have ready to go, because I need to start packing those things up to go, because I've got some mugs there. One has to go to Andrea, one has to go to Becca. I've got them made. They just need to get out of my hair. So please, could you bug me? And I know I'm a big girl and I should be able to do this for myself, but Yeah, they are, it's a funny thing. They are important to me, but obviously I haven't brought them to the top of my list enough, and it's insane. I need to start packing up that craft room, and I don't want to be unpacking that stuff to send it. Because if I don't get it done before I pack it up, it's not going to get done until I move. So that's not good. And if you could remind me, see how much you can get done in an hour. That's actually a good incentive for me. Do I spend an hour a day taking the next step? If so, I will get them all out of the house this week. Do you understand my thinking? How long does it take me to find a proper envelope, some proper padding, and put a name and address on a label on an envelope and get it ready to mail? It's not an hour. Probably, and the same with the mugs. They're ready to go. I just got to pack them up. So frustrating that I haven't done it. So great stuff. Thanks for your support, Jody. Jody, I wish you all the best. So do you know when the new MRI is? Just so that I keep track of that. The 12th of June. Okay, let me put that in there so that I don't forget. And I probably will forget, being me, if I change. Yeah, all right. I wish you all the best with that if I don't talk about it soon. I'm sure I will. All right, everybody, have a super, super week. I really intend to get myself out of stuck mode and moving forward. Big hugs to you and have fun. And let me go and bake bread and turn on the barbecue. This is Dear Mama Sal. Bye bye for now.